Good Saturday morning.
Hey, good morning, Chris. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing okay. I know it was a busy week for all of us, and everything going on. But I'm excited. The one thing that got me up this morning was the excitement about this card with the Ohio Derby. And to be honest with you, Eddie, I have never ever capped Thistledown before. Have you ever capped Thistledown?
Absolutely, my first time doing this, and so I'm pretty excited about it too. And as you said, it's been a long week. You've been traveling, I've been traveling, and you look a whole lot better than I do right now because I'm totally unshaven and just pulled in this morning about a half hour ago.
Well, you don't have to look good. You just have to have good picks, Eddie. That's the rule.
There we go.
Well, good. Well, no, you're the one that put me onto this card for Saturday. To be honest with you, I probably wouldn't even have had Thistledown on my radar, and I was actually surprised at how good this Ohio Derby field is. I really like it, and I think it's going to be a really good race. And obviously, Safi has White Abario, who was yours truly's Kentucky Derby top pick, and we all know how that ended. But I'm excited to see this race today and see how it all plays out.
Yeah, it's actually, I mean, it's a great field for the Ohio Derby. There's also some really nice stakes races prior to it. I did talk to Safi this morning. He's very excited about the day, and he thinks White Abario's got a big chance. May or may not be my pick, but Safi likes him.
So we'll see how that shakes out here when we're looking at it. First thing I want to do, Eddie, is I just want to go back to last week when we covered the Belmont on Saturday and just kind of talk about those results. And the one thing I remind everybody that's watching on Facebook, YouTube, remember, you can put your things in there. Eddie, can you just mute yourself because I'm getting some feedback from the people that we're getting some echo here.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. And I'm not getting an echo anymore. It's Eddie. Eddie's echoing. So thank you for letting me know that. So, this last week, I'm going to go back to the Belmont, and I just want to talk about what, how we did, what happened there. And I noticed, so when I look at last week, Eddie, and this is what we had. Let me just fix the screen here. Let me see if I can get us so we're not hiding, but maybe I can't do that. All right. So what last week on the plays, the big one was the poker stakes at Belmont, and we both picked the one. And when you looked at it, Mason was a pretty dominant horse at the end, a really good horse, and really put that field away pretty quickly. So we were right there, but you know what? That wasn't really a hard pick to make at all. Did you watch that race, Eddie?
I did. Mason looked pretty darn impressive.
Yeah, that he did. And we mentioned on the show last week, we both went with a 4 public sector, and the 5 actually came in second. I know we both talked about we like that horse too. And the value there was the 1 over the 5. I was actually surprised at how much the exacta paid in that race. But so that was a pretty easy one. I'll tell you, from my standpoint, I whiffed on the second race. There was a bomb came through, paid $59.50 to win. So completely whiffed on this one. And this one here ended up being 1-4. So I was off on these other 2 races. Now, you, on the other hand, the one was finished second. And the one I want to really call out here is race 9. And race 9, you nailed this one, Eddie. You were ice cold. It was 4-5. The thing I want to call out, though, is the 4, the morning line was 12-1. He got bet down, I think, and because I see the payment paid $11.80 to play, so whatever that is, I think it's like 4 something, between 4 and 5-1. You really like that one, so you nailed that one with Dylan Davis. Do you remember what you liked about that horse?
Yeah, it was. That horse was coming off a layoff, and I know we'll get more into this in a little bit, but when horses are coming off an extended layoff on dirt, that gives me pause for concern. But when a horse is coming off a long layoff on turf, it doesn't matter to me, because so long as I see some good workouts and the horse looks like he's training up to a good race on turf, the layoff does not matter to me at all.
Yeah,
and the breeding of that horse was impeccable.
Do you remember who the sire was?
Oh, I want to say maybe King Mambo off the top of my head. I don't have it in front of me, but I want to say King Mambo maybe.
Is King Mambo one of those ones that you watch?
One of the turf sires that I keep an eye on is definitely King Mambo for sure. I want to say maybe the dam sire was APND. I'm not 100% sure on that though. But yeah, as far as turf is concerned, King Mambo is definitely one that I get.
Yeah, so you nailed the spot plays. I mean, if you look at it, you had 2 winners. That four was a big winner. And like usually happens, you find somebody that you think going in, you're gonna get 10 to 1, 11 to 1, 12 to 1. And then hopefully some people watch the show and maybe laid down half their mortgage on it. Maybe that's why the odds went down.
Wouldn't be surprised if morning line was 12 to 1 and got bet down to 9 to 2. So somebody had something on them.
Nice. So that leads us into our next conversation. And when we talked about this before in the show, I don't want to be just about picks. I want to talk about the things that we do as horse players to cap a card, and what we talk about. And one of the things that's near and dear to my heart is form. And I'll just tell you, everybody that's watching, a little bit of experience. So I'm one of those guys, I'm a data nerd. And when I go through stuff, I'm one of those guys that used to spend 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours on a card. And I used to do all these formulas and I used to figure this stuff out. And, it takes a long time. And I know there's a lot of work into handicapping, but I did a lot of study on form and what it looks like, and going back when you had horses that were off, when they win, and go back and see exactly what was their form like. So, Eddie, what do you look for when you're looking at the PPs, looking at form? What are some of the things you look for to kind of, figure out what you're going to toss a horse, or if you're going to include it?
Well, obviously one of the first things I do is I always look at the condition of the race, and I look at the breeding of horses. But when I'm looking at horses to see if they're in form, obviously you have to look at their past performances and see if there's a pattern. And what I mean by pattern, there's sometimes that you'll see horses that they run well, maybe win or come second one race, and then the next race they drop off, and then they come back the following race and run well again. So those horses are kind of hard to figure out. But I also look at workouts, and workouts are really important. If I don't see a workout in between races, it's really hard for me to use a horse like that, because now I'm just strictly going on past performance, and I don't know if they are in form. So, and I also look for horses that are coming off layoffs and maybe have a race or two prior to perhaps stepping up and coming into a big race as well. So looking at workouts is really important, and also looking at replays. You can't go by the comment line in, be it DRF or any other sheets that you're looking at. You have to watch replays, because the comment line might say horse finished well, but then if you watch the replay, the horse could have been blocked and finally got out and finished well. So there's a lot that goes into it. For me, it's incredibly important for anybody that's listening, watching today. You have to watch replays to find out if a horse is in form, to find out how he or she did in his past couple of races, because that's going to tell you more than anything. And if you're putting your money on the line, wouldn't you want to be as educated to see from your own eye how the horse ran previously?
Eddie, here's a question I have about that piece of it. And I watch replays. I don't watch replays all the time because the time investment it takes to go back and watch a race and see what happens. If you have a horse that's off a layoff, and do replays matter if a horse is off a layoff? Let's just say haven't raced in 4 months. Does replays come into play there?
I mean, probably not as much as horses that are running on a steady pattern. Um, if something piques my eye, I may go back and look at a couple of races of that horse just to see if something jumps out. But no, off a layoff, I mean, when you're talking 3, 4, 5 months layoff, no, there, what I will do more so is watch their workouts. So I will watch their workouts to see how not only how they work, but hopefully every now and then you'll get to see the gallop out as well. And some people put some credence into the gallop outs. I'm still kind of learning a little bit about that. Uh, but I do like to see a horse keep going after a workout and not being urged. Just like to see the horse do it on its own.
Yeah, and the workouts are an interesting thing because I remember when I started handicapping at the beginning, I would look at workouts and I would get transfixed on the bullet workouts. And what's your thoughts on that? Are you looking for bullets? Are you looking for in between the time that you're doing them? How many workouts, distance? What exactly are you looking at on workouts, Eddie?
Well, that's interesting because uh, seeing a bullet workout, seeing that little dot on the bottom of the form of the workouts, that always kind of jumps off the page a little bit. But I look more at the time, and like for example, if I see a bullet workout of 4 furlongs in 50 and 1, and then I see maybe the same horse worked 25 out of 80 horses and ran 48 and 3. I like the 48 and 3 better in that workout. So I'm looking more at times than I am the actual number, be it a bullet or 2 out of 80 or what it might be. I'm looking more at the time. And then if I really like that horse, I will try to go see if I can find that workout and watch how it worked to see if it was urged or if he did it on his own.
Okay. Where do you watch those workout replays?
XBTV.
Okay.
That's I turned on to it a couple of years ago, and it's a great site to go. And if you want to watch workouts and actually it's educational because you start understanding a little bit more what a workout really means. I mean, I go to the backstretch of Saratoga when I'm up there a lot of mornings. And when I first went there, it was like, okay, I see a lot of horses running around. This is pretty cool. But then when I got together and met some clockers and started meeting some trainers and people within the industry, they were telling me what to look for and what it means. So that was really helpful for me.
Yeah, that's good stuff, Eddie. And something, and I think I've bounced stuff on Twitter before on what I look at, and something that really helped me. I do a lot of reading on horse handicapping and trying to figure out, what is form, what's not form. Well, of course, there's no steadfast rule where you can go back and say, well, this horse here did X, so I'm going to toss him. But the things I look for is I look for patterns. And this game is a lot about patterns and how things set up, for a horse, because typically patterns repeat themselves. That's why they call it a pattern. And when I look at it, there's one of the things that I really keyed in on, and you can Google this online, but I think it's the Scott theory on form. I don't know if it's William Scott or Scott. I may be tying something else into it, but something that really helped me understand this was the fact that when a horse is in a sprint, 6 furlongs or less, and they're in the stretch, they're within 2 3/4 lengths. And the rule is 7 furlongs to a mile, 3 3/4, and over a mile, 4 3/4, and just kind of tying that in. And again, it's not steadfast where I would just toss a horse that, is 3.5 lengths out, but it helped me look at the field, see who was in form, and then some of the common things with second off a layoff, third off a layoff, with what they're doing. But it's a very interesting topic to me. But the thing I love about form is when you really sit down and you look at the workouts and you sit down at what's happening with its last race or whatever to figure out if the horse is, and sometimes you can use the speed figures. What's really nice about that whole piece is you can go back and you can probably toss a lot of the field out if they're not in form, and it really does speed up your handicapping. And I found that I went from I was like an hour and a half a race because I was that detailed, and I just could slim that down. And I do more just scanning right now, but it's really a good thing. It's a good thing to research. It's a good thing to always go back after the race and see, well, what was the form of that horse, so you learn from it.
That's actually on point right there, and it's interesting. One of the things I do, especially on big cards, big races like today, Thistledown, I will, as I start handicapping a race, I will look for horses to throw out before I look for who I think could win, because that eliminates part of my time and my focus on who I think can win. So by doing something like that, it gives me a little bit more time and focus on putting together a sequence of races, maybe like a pick four or a daily double or something like that, not just the win. And the other part about you said about form and it's you went from sprinters to routes, and I really like, especially if breeding dictates it, a router going back to a sprint race, because maybe they tried to stretch the horse out and it didn't quite get the distance, and now they're bringing them back to its proper distance. And it's almost like having a double workout when they stretch out in a long race and now they drop them back to a sprint. So that's, for me, that's something that piques my interest when I handicap a horse like that.
No doubt, no doubt. Since you brought up Thistledown, for some reason in my head I'm like Thistledowns. It's Thistledown. I did do a research, and I just wanted to see where this track was at. I know it's up in Ohio somewhere, obviously for the Ohio Derby, but I think it's outside of Cleveland and near Dayton. When I looked at it, but I'm sure it's a wonderful place. But they should be really excited about this card coming up. So let's pull that card up, Eddie, and let's take a look and see how we compare with our picks. And not that I would expect us to be, the same on everything, and kind of how we got there. So there's 4 stakes races today, and it's a pretty good little card. It's, I guess the early ones before that, you have a lot of stuff. I think there's a couple of allowances, some maiden claimers. It's just a regular card of what you would probably see at most tracks. But I really do like these 4 stakes races they have at Thistledown today. I think you got an opportunity here to cash, and I think there's some really good odds and some good plays here when I look at it. So let's dive in a little bit and let's talk about it. And let's start in order. We'll end with the Ohio Derby, but let's go with race number 8, the Cleveland Gold Cup Stakes. You picked the 1, Silence. What do you like about Silence, Eddie?
I think any one of the 8 horses. Actually, the only horse I don't think that can win is the 3, Mr. Luch. But Mr. Luch is going to be up, in my opinion, is going to be up there vying for the lead early. What I like about the 1 is that there's some speed in this race. There's 2-3 horses that are going to go from the bell, and the 1 horse, Silence. Number 1, I love his breeding. I think the horse wants to stretch out. He's bred to go longer. He's out of Exaggerator, who's out of Curlin. And then on the sire side, on the dam side, he's out of Tiger Ridge. So the horse is bred to have a little bit of speed, but also extend that speed for a distance. So I just, I was looking for a little bit of value in this race just because I couldn't pick a standout in the race. I do think number 7, Country Club Bobby, is going to go to the front, and if he gets pressured, that's why I like the 1. If he doesn't get pressured, it's going to be Catch Me If You Can, because the 7 could just run away from the field. But the 6, Tantrum, is interesting. He ran against Country Club Bobby a couple races back in the HB Noonan Stakes, and Country Club Bobby won that, and the 6 finished fading 5th. So that's why I didn't use that horse. But and the 3, Mr. Luch, came second to Country Club Bobby in that same stakes race. So, and he actually claimed foul against Country Club Bobby in that race, but it was not allowed. So that's why I think Mr. Luch is going to go out with them. And my hope is that the 1 horse Silence picks up the pieces and sneaks in for a win at a decent price.
I like it. And, when I looked at this race, I was looking at it from a standpoint of, I think the 7 on paper for me really stands out. And let me just show the speed charts here on what I build, and let me share this with everybody. When I look at this on paper, this race.
And people listening, you really need to look and listen to what Chris is about to say, because this is some really good information.
Yeah. So one of the things I'll do is I will update after the scratches come out, because the scratches are so important to me with how it can change the race shape, and how it could change the dynamics of the race. And listen, it may make a bigger gap between one horse than another. So I am going to take a wild card. I'm just trying to beat the favorite here, and I'm taking the 6. But let me just share what I have here on screen, and I may probably need to blow this up a little bit more. Let me see if I can blow this up. There we go. I blew it up a little bit. But when you look at this and you see what you look at the pace scenario. So I have algorithms that are built up. So the bigger the circle here, the better. The 7 here leads, and I'll tell you that the 7 has the pace advantage when I look at the total. I mean, is it a gap like I'd like to see? No, but when I see the top horse across the board on total pace, early pace, and late pace, typically that horse is going to be the one that's going to finish. So I may be a little adventurous, but I'm thinking the pace may get a little hot. So I look for 21 to go down towards the mid pack. Would like it a little bit hotter for the 6, but the 6 is getting irad. So I like the fact that the 7 here looks pretty good. There's no way I'm tossing the 7. The 7 looks good on paper. And then you see, it looks like the 4, the 6, the 3, the 2 are the next wave of horses. Early pace, again, it could get a little quick, but I think the 7's going to probably tuck away the 3 and the 4. And then what are you left there? You're left with the 1's got some late kick. The 6 has got some late kick. So I think you can't go wrong. I think when I look at this just from a visual standpoint, I like on paper. I know I went 6, 7. Eddie, I know who you like, but when I look at this just visually without handicapping and looking how the pace dynamics are, I like the 7. I like the 1. I like the 6. It just all makes sense when you look at it on paper. So we'll see if it's right. We'll see how it plays out. One thing I will do is I'm going to update this after scratches, and I will post the stakes races. I will post the visual charts out and share them with everybody that's watching. And, sharing is caring. And I really do. This is my passion, is talking about the pace shape and how the race is all going to play out. So that's that one, Eddie. So let me go back. I got too many windows open here. Hang on. Let me see if I can find my bearings here and get back to, there we go. I'm back now. Give me a second. So going back, the next one is race 9, the George Lewis Memorial Stakes. Now you've got a few horses. And this race is probably pretty wide open. I think it's very wide open. Tell me why you think these three horses you have a chance here in this race.
Uh, am I back on?
You're back on.
I'm out of timeout. For me, I'll tell you what. Again, you said it. It's a wide open race, but I went with the 13 Authentic Cowtown, and one of the reasons I went with this horse is because he does have a little bit of back class. He's running a couple of stakes. He won this race last year, I believe, and he's got a pretty decent record. 5 wins out of 11 races at Thistledown. But what I really like is he's coming off his second race off a layoff. He hadn't run since November, and he ran May 2nd, and then he's got 2 really nice works, and I watched those works. He worked 4 furlongs June 6th in 48 and 2, and then he worked on June 18th 3 furlongs in 36 and 2, and he did it easy. So for me, 13 out of a very competitive field where you could pick a lot of horses stood out. And morning line is 7-2, so hopefully we can get 7-2 on them. Ant B, the 10 horse. This horse scares me. I almost said a bad word there, but scares me quite a bit. Was claimed a couple races back. I do like Norm Cash as a trainer. It's the jockey Franklin's on him. I just don't know that the 10 gets the full distance. And then I rounded it up. I rarely pick 3 horses, but the 8 horse I give a big shot at 10-1. This horse also has run in a couple stakes race, won a stakes race 4 back, and Larry Smith is a decent trainer. I don't know too much about the jockey, but I just think the 13 is the horse where he's going to be able to sit right off the lead, right behind the speed, and get first go at them.
Yeah, I like you thinking. I think I'll meet you up, Eddie. So when I look at this race really is wide open, and it's interesting you have the 10 because on my pace sheet the 10 is the best on the total pace figures early and late, so out of the field, but it's clustered at the front. So this is going to be a tough one to come away with. If you're going to play it, it's a really wide open race. I think if you're playing a pick something, you're going to have to spread here. And I think you got to look at value. I don't know who's the favorite here, Eddie. Do you know who the favorite is? It's the, I guess it is the 13 Authentic Cow.
Favorite at 7-2.
Yep. Okay. And when I look at this race, if there's no scratches, which there probably is going to be a ton of scratches, right now, I've got Meltdown City, where I think, there's a potential here for this pace just to collapse in the front end. And it's 1.16 on the dirt, but I am likely to I want to play some back speed here. So if I was going to take 3 of them, I like the 2. So first off, the 2 back speed horses in this race are the 2 and the 6. I like the 13. The 13 is on paper the best one here. But when I look at the 2, I like the 2 because when I look at how he can close off the pace, I think he won a race off 6 lengths, 2 back. I think the 2 has a shot. And typically when you have a meltdown pace, everybody knows, you can take your speed figures, you can take all that stuff, throw it out the window because it's all about that's how stalkers and closers usually win, is they have to have opportunity, aka Rich Strike in the Derby. So that's how I'm going to play this one. I'm going to I think the value here is you take the 13 and play it with the back speed, the 2 and the 6 underneath. I'm going to take the 2 and just think he's going to be closer to the pace and he can close off it. I'm going to take the 2 to pull off an upset here and beat the 13. But that's how I'd play this race. But again, I think we're on the same page. This is a tough one. This is a tough one to figure out. There's no standouts. You may have 8 contenders here in the field, so it's tough for certain. But if I got to land on somebody, it'd be 2 and 13. All right, Eddie, why don't we go to the next race, the 10, the Lady Jacqueline Stakes? Well, I'm pulling that up.
Yeah, this race for me, there's a horse I really liked, the 9 horse Maracuya. I just don't like. Kendrick Carmouche he's a friend. I know him really well. I love him as a jockey, but I like him on speed. And this is a closer, the 9. And it was hard for me not to use the 9, but I think Kendrick is more of a speed jock than he is a closing jock. So for me, I landed in this race on the 5, Crazy Beautiful. I just think the back class of the horse, the races he's won in, he won the Gulfstream Park Oaks last year. Obviously, a good race and beat a couple of really good horses in that race as well. Has been running in graded stakes company most of the past year and a half. And I think it sits a perfect trip, sitting behind some speed, pounces, going around the final turn, and wins the race. And he's got Hernandez on him, who's has won 2 out of 4 races, and with a second riding the horse. So I like that too. And then I have the 6 horse coming in second, Army Wife. This horse was super well thought of. As a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, and 3-year-old, maybe was a little bit late developing. Took a break from November to May of last year, and when she came back a totally different horse, a much better horse. Won 3 out of 4 off that layoff. So I think this horse, the 6 horse, is going to run second. And I will say one, only because of track preference, the 4 horse has run at Thistledown 5 times, has 3 wins in 2 seconds. So if you want to look for maybe a price horse to finish off maybe an exacta or a trifecta, you may want to use the 4. But I really, really like the 5 horse Crazy Beautiful.
I like it, Eddie, and I think we're actually pretty aligned on that one as well. And I'll share my pace chart here because this is probably the easiest way again for me to explain this. So when I'm looking at the pace here on this race, so I like the 9. There's a potential here for this pace to get pretty hot too. Total pace wise, it looks like 6:10 here. So again, I want to just point out total pace 6 is in the middle here. If you look at the late pace, 6 and 9 are pretty close. Speaking of Kendrick Carmouche, if there was a president of the Kendrick Carmouche fan club, it's probably me. I just think that guy's not only is he a really good jockey, but he's probably one of the nicest guys on the planet. So I mean, he's good. So I am going to go. I'm going to go back speed here, and I'm going to go with a 9. I just think that horse. Listen, it's going from Santana. It's coming from Oaklawn Park. Atris, I think, is good off a layoff. And I like the Kendrick's only riding 2 horses, I think. I just looked at this at the end of the card. So he's on this one. He's on this 9 Maracuja. and he's also riding in the Ohio Derby. So he's coming in and he's getting this mount. And I know Actress a lot of times is at Belmont, the New York circuit. But I like the 9 here, and I like the 6, and actually my third choice underneath. So my top 2 are 9-6, and my third choice would be right underneath is the 5. That's the other one. So I think we're on the same page with what's happening. What I'm watching though is I want to see this. I want to see what's going to happen after scratches. So I will post this on the Spot Plays on Twitter, and I will share what this race is going to look like after scratches post, because I am going to be curious if there's a couple scratches here, and maybe this early pace changes a little bit. Maybe the pace pressure comes down. That may sway me to look at doing something else, but I'm looking for prices here. So when I look for prices, I want the 9 or the 5 here. With what they're doing. So with that being said, Eddie, let's dig into it. Let's talk about the big race of the day. Let's talk about the Ohio Derby, which is right up there with the Kentucky Derby. But, like we said at the beginning of the show, this is a big deal for this track. To have a small track like this, Safi took White Barrio, didn't race in the other 2 legs of the Triple Crown, which actually surprised me because I thought White Barrio would have been probably a really good for the Belmont. What are you thinking on this Ohio Derby when you look at the race and the contenders here?
There we go. Back at a timeout again. So, man, this, like you said, for a, I guess you could say, what's the best way to say it? A secondary track. What a card and what a race this is. I mean, you've got at least 5 horses in this race that were really well thought of early in the 3-year-old campaigns. You've got Classic Causeway, you got Tawny Port, you got White Barrio, Ethel Road, and Baris is a horse that a lot of people are talking about, how it just has had some bad luck leading into this race. So, I mean, this is a race where if you handicap it right, you're going to get some value, I think. I do believe Ethel Road is going to end up being the favorite, in my opinion. And I do like Ethel Road quite a bit, based off of the Sir Barton Stakes, how he ran there and beat a good field. The one thing that concerns me about Ethel Road is why Saez didn't come up to ride the horse. I would have thought if Saez really liked him, he would have come up to ride him. So I ended up landing on Tawny Port, the 7 horse, for a couple of reasons. Number one, he won the Lexington, so leading up to the Derby, didn't run great in the Derby, but didn't run poorly. He finished 7th, but only 4 3/4 lengths out of off the field, and he also didn't. If you look at the line, the comment line, it says that he flattened. The horse was pulling all through the backstretch, trying to find room. And then when he finally got room, yeah, he flattened because he used up so much energy trying to pull through the backstretch. And then watching a couple of his workouts, I just think this horse is primed to run a huge race. Irad is getting the mount. I'm not a huge Irad fan. I like him as a person. I'm just not a huge fan of his. But obviously, in the jockey world, it's a huge mount for him. I just think the horse is primed to run a huge race and live up to the expectations of when they paid $430,000 for him, and Brad Cox being the trainer, and you got Peachtree as the owners. The connections work, the jockey works, the trainer works, everything works for me. So I love the 7 Tawny Port.
Yeah, and the thing about Tawny Port, and you're right on the money, is Irad going to come in if Tawny Port's not legit. I mean, this is the whole reason why he's here, right? Riding at Thistledown today is for this one. So I agree with you, but I've got one I'm going to beat him with. So I'm trying to get in the mind of Safi Joseph and the trainers there, and I get thinking about White Barrio. I've just for the record, I picked against White Barrio. I think every single time during the Derby Trail, and I was like, White Barrio is not going to beat me in the Kentucky Derby. That horse reminds me so much of Essential Quality last year, where maybe the numbers and the stats and everything don't always jump out on paper, but that horse has a ton of heart. Now, that Kentucky Derby, we all know, was meltdown pace, so he never had a shot in that race. The way that whole thing just turned out, it wasn't going to happen. Now, why Safi did not run the horse again in the Preakness or the Belmont, I don't really know the answers to that, but he said right after the Kentucky Derby, we're going to take White Barrio and we're going to the Ohio Derby. I think this is a really good move. Again, I think it's a really good field, but it's also interesting. White Barrio gets Lasix, so I don't know what may have happened after the Kentucky Derby. Gets Lasix. He's already won at this distance. I just think this horse is really good, and in what I consider a pretty weak crop of horses, I can't pick against White Barrio. I just can't do it. He beat me, and you saw it in person at the Florida Derby, Eddie. I think I was all about simplification in that one. So, when I look at it, boy, White Barrio just stands out to me. I just think he's pointed, and I just think there's too much going on here with what's happening now. Tawny Port, I like Tawny Port for all the reasons that you said. I'm going to go 5-7, but there's one other thing I want to call out. And Jay Marco, you actually called this out in the comments, so let me show it out here one more time. So Jay says, do you think he's going to like the rail? The one, Baris. I don't know, but and I have to go back and look and see. I don't know if that horse has ever run off the rail before. So no, he's never gone off the rail. So, and matter of fact, he's gone mid-pack most of the time when I look at it. So it's questionable, but I don't get too concerned about a presser type speed horse and worry about them up the rail. I mean, I guess if you have an early speed horse, they're forced to go. I mean, you got to run. I think an early presser has to run, but from a presser standpoint in the pace scenario, I think a presser can get in really good position out of the gate. And it's really all about the jockey. Who's on the one? Who's the best jockey, Eddie, coming out of the gate? Maybe not your opinion, but in my opinion.
I would just tell you Early Fires was always the best getting out of the gate back in the day. But I mean, Carmouche on the speed horse is great. Saez, Rosario are great out of the gate on the speed horse as well. But yeah, I mean, Kendrick, you got to go with him. He's going to send the one. He has to send the one to have a chance. Just to touch on White Barrio, I did talk to Safi this morning, and first time Lasix. If you look at his workout after the Derby, it was a bullet work. It was a great time. He was the fastest out of 50, 4 furlongs and 47 flat. That's a standout workout, and more than likely he probably had Lasix prior to that workout. So that does jump off the page. Again, I'm not picking White Barrio to win, but if White Barrio wins, no surprise here.
Yeah, no doubt. I didn't even bring that. I didn't even bring that up, Eddie. But I think that's a good point because when a horse adds Lasix, can you pinpoint where maybe Lasix was added? And you look at the workouts and you see, and if he gets Lasix after the Derby, I mean, you look at some of those runs. I mean, 36 at 3 furlongs, 47 at 4 furlongs. The time between workouts is fantastic, and then the famous 5 furlong workout that I didn't even talk about today. We'll save that for another time. But you look at the 5 furlongs, and I think, and then the last one looks like just a blowout to get ready, kind of slow, which I think White Barrio is ready to pop. But I'll show one last thing before we go on. So. And Jay, you probably know Thistledown a lot better than I do, because me and Eddie, like we said earlier, I don't know this track. I don't know what the biases are. I looked at some of the thing. I was looking at some of the stats. I guess this morning it looks like, I don't know if the rail was the right place to be. Looking at it, but I guess recently it looks like the rail has had some winners at the distance when I see it. And post position 1 to 3. So, I mean, I wouldn't discount it altogether, but let me just show something on the pace thing that we have here. So on our pace chart, if I can get it to come up, doesn't want to come up with me. This is what it shows like to me. So I'll tell you what this helps me with is a lot of times I toss horses that the data says is good because I want to beat favorites and I get excited about the late pace and everything. What's interesting here is, and again, algorithms are algorithms. When I look at it, it looks like based on the algorithms, 1 and the 7 are the 2 best here. Pace could get hot, especially where there's 3 one-dimensional early pace types. So we know that the 5 White Barrio can come off the pace. He's got tactical speed. So when I look at it, this is what I see on paper. Now, the interesting thing, and I believe the 1, Baris.
Hey, Chris, sorry to interrupt,
Yep.
but can you talk about how, like, I think it's the bigger the circle, the more formidable of what you're showing here on your algorithm. Like, for example, the 7 horse has a big circle in total pace, and he's right along lines of throughout the whole race.
Yeah, so the algorithms are all based on some different angles and things that are happening, that just things that I look at, different scenarios that that you would look at to pick winners. So again, when you look at it and you look at the 1 and the 7 on total pace, and the 1 what I was just looking at is he's had 2 races at a route. When I look at it, he wanted a mile. He's got a good speed figure in the Wood Memorial, but listen, Mo Donegal, we just saw what he did in early voting, and I didn't realize the other one there. I think that ran in the Belmont, finished 3rd, so that was a pretty formidable field. So I just when I look at it and I see it, the total pace number, when you run it, the computer actually says the 1 looks like he's looking really good on paper. I'm just trying to combine some handicapping with what I see here. And when I look at early pace again, and I look at it, it looks like the 6 to 5, the 1. This is how it's probably going to shake out. So Jay, to answer your question about coming off the rail, this is where I think the 1's going to be going, at the first quarter, second quarter. I think he's going to be right here. And I think that's a good spot for him, right behind probably these 3 and probably right aligned with the 7, Tawny Port. Late pace, actually, the 1 is the one that jumps off the page. So again, I'm going with White Barrio. Maybe he doesn't have, but the 1 on the data side, and that's what I wanted to show. This is why I went 3 deep here, Eddie. This is my 3 deep race. I'm 5'7", and I think 5 or 7, either one of those horses can win. I think you could flip a coin because there's a lot of angles there. But I'm throwing the 1 in here because the computer, and when I run all the data and I'm looking at it, and if the pace stays the way it is and we don't have a bunch of scratches again, the pace could get hot. And guess what the computer says, who has some really good late kick? Wouldn't be surprised to see the 1. So I want to include them at the end of the day. But again, these visuals help me, and I think it can really help other handicappers out there with what you're looking at. So, Eddie, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, that's now you've got me scared about the one horse based on what on your graphics and your algorithms and everything like that, and based on the horses he's competed against. um, Tony Port. I landed on Tiny Port. I didn't want to be honest, but a friend of mine who's a great handicapper, who, when I say a great handicapper, not to sound uh, like an arrogant jerk, but he's one of the few people I could say is a better handicapper than I am. So, but you know, hopefully Tony Port runs the race that I think it's going to run. If White Barrio wins, I'll be happy. And if you're, and whoever anybody bets, if they win, hopefully they're happy. I do want to give a quick shout out to somebody, if you don't mind. I know she's listening because she's texted, DM me a couple of times. Hopefully, Sack Shoes hits a winner today and then cooks a celebratory dinner and posts her pictures of her cooking this evening.
Maybe Sack can send me a virtual hot dog or something, one of those chili dogs that she makes, because I could use one of those.
Can't have ketchup. No ketchup. No ketchup allowed.
Again, we've been talking for a long time. See how easy this is? We get going, we get talking, Eddie, I have a really good connection with Eddie, and that's what I enjoy talking to you so much. I mean, I could talk to you for 8-10 hours just about everything going on, not only horse playing, but just life in general. And I appreciate all your insight and all that you do, because we share this passion of horse racing and just the whole thrill of what's going on. And hoping that we help some of you guys today that are playing this Thistledown. I think this is the track to play today. I know Belmont has a good stakes race today that I'm going to look at in a little bit, but Thistledown for me, I've got this card capped. I capped it at 30,000 feet when I was flying back late last night, and I am ready to go with what we have. But what I will do for the audience, and because you guys all tuned in, what I will do is I'm going to go through this card when the scratches post. And if there's anything that sticks out, I will post it on the Spotplays on Twitter. So you can just see what it says at the end of the day. And again, remember, it's not a end all be all with data and information, but it's also a tool that you take to look at your picks and selections and figure out how does that horse fit when you look at the data models and how all those things happen. So, Eddie, with that being said, anything else you want to share? Anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, just tying up what you said. Yeah, I mean, you and I had had a Twitter following. We DM'd a little bit, and then we finally met at Gulfstream. You and your brother, and yeah, I mean, I feel like we're like we went to grade school and high school together. I mean, we connected real easy. So hopefully that comes across to the viewers and the listeners as we move forward. Also, want to say, hopefully we got some great stuff coming ahead. Hopefully, even some live shows from Saratoga on property. Looking forward to it. I'm actually going to be driving up there next week on Tuesday or Wednesday, and it's 20 days to Saratoga, so that's basically 20 days to Christmas in July.
True. That was one of the things I actually was going to do, and I'll probably do this next week. I don't want to take away the surprise, but I am counting down the seconds, Eddie, until this Saratoga meet starts. I think I've already got commitments with people on about 4 different weekends, so I am really looking forward, like I just do every summer. I'm giddy. I'm ready to get down underneath the Christmas tree and get to do it. Unless you've never been there, you don't understand. And I would encourage anybody to spend a weekend at Saratoga and fall in love with this game. So, Eddie, I appreciate your time today. I hope everybody got some value out of listening to us talk about this Ohio Derby card and talk about a little bit about form today. So we appreciate all you guys for tuning in. If you do me a favor, if you haven't already, followed Horse Racing Today. And I didn't put the banner up on the site here today. Shame on me. But follow Horse Racing Today and also give us a like. So if you're on Facebook, and I appreciate it. I see Jay Marco. I appreciate you for the questions today in the comments. Give us a like and go on YouTube. Give us likes. The more likes you get, I'll tell you what, Eddie, if we can get double-digit likes this morning, I will do something special on Twitter. I'll put something out there so everybody can work this card and share some of the data that I shared here on the thing. So don't forget to like us. But I hope everybody has a fantastic day. Remember, pick your spots and always bet value. Thank you, everybody. Have a great Saturday.